my doubts as a therapist and how I was able to overcome them. So in this podcast, I have my son here with me. So if you hear some cooing or some gaga and things like that, even dad, which is something that he's been saying lately, just know that it's my son here in the background. He's going to join me for this. And what I love about having him on some of these episodes, especially the fact that I do them with video, is that I can go back and look at them, and he can go back and look at them 20, 30, 40 years from now and see all the gems that I was sharing, have this new connection with his father in a different capacity, because he'll know me at that time as I am then. He won't be able to get a chance to see me who I was. And this podcast is a great way of allowing him to see who I was back when he was 1 year old, which is what he is now. So with that being said, let's get into the episode. So about a couple of weeks ago, I was in a session with one of my clients, and they asked me a great question. They said, how do you maintain motivation when things around you aren't going well? And I said, that's a great question. And what I told them was that we have to really shift what we see success as. Because when we first start something, or as you're getting something going, as you're starting something, things will not always go the way that you want. And when that happens, how do you still find the motivation to show up? How do you still find it within yourself to get things done that needs to be done, so that you could then find the motivation and the happiness that you were seeking when you first started this action, this path, if you will? So I gave her some answers, and as I did that, I actually shared the story with them. I wanted to talk to them a little bit about some of my doubts that I've had as a therapist. And I told them that there have been times where I've gone on sessions with clients and I've asked myself, did I give them what they needed? Am I helping them to make the changes in their life that they need to make? That's a question that sometimes gets to me a few times, if you will. But here's the thing. This is the thing that I do that helps me to overcome that doubt, that thought. I have a great ability to focus on the thing, right? The thing. So whenever someone comes and says, Coach, I'm struggling with depression because I recently got out of a divorce, or I've recently lost someone to death, if you will, so they're grieving. Or maybe they're telling me about a project or an idea that they have, and they don't have the confidence to go after it. Whenever I hear those things, I know exactly what it is that I need to give them. But more importantly, I know exactly what it is that's stopping them from taking the actions that they need to take, from getting them the fulfillment that they're looking for. And because I know this formula, it doesn't matter what my mind is saying. I'm always able to show up and do what I need to do because I know what the thing is. I know what the main thing is. And what that does is it allows me to still perform at a great level, even when I'm not feeling it, even when I'm not thinking it. Something that surprises me, and I shared this with that client, is that there are times where I feel like, man, am I making progress with this client? And a few weeks or a few months will go by, and they'll turn around and tell me, Coach, you've changed my life. You've gave me some tools that will keep me out of the deep pits that I just got out of. All these different things, right? Like, they tell me all the great things that they've been able to accomplish now that they've had the tools, now that they've had these sessions with me. And sometimes that still shocks me. Believe it or not, even though I've been doing this for 5 years, sometimes those comments, they shock me, they surprise me a little bit. And I tell my clients, thank you when they share those things. It's always great when someone can just validate and say, thank you, I appreciate the work that you've been doing, all that stuff. I do it for them. I do want to help people. But also there is a deep sense of curiosity within myself in terms of how good can I really get at this skill? How good can I really get at helping people to build their confidence? That's always been something that's been exciting to me. Even last week, I had a new client, and they're telling me their story and everything like that. And I said, man, I can't wait to work with you. And they were like, why? I said, because you're going to give me a challenge, and I love that. And we both had a really nice laugh about that, if you will. And that's going to tie into another point that I want to make later. But this main point that I want to make of how I overcame doubt as a therapist was that I always knew what the thing was. Eventually, it gets to where it's kind of like a math problem. Whenever a client shows up with X, that means that I need to do Y. I need to show them Y, right? It's the same thing for you whenever doubt comes up. When you're doubting yourself, when you're having that fear, I need you to step back from the doubt, step back from the fear, and just ask yourself, what is the thing? What is the thing that I should be doing at this moment, right? If you can get to that answer and step back from all the things that your mind is saying, it'll give you a clear path of what you should be doing next. And this is where I tell people, doubt, it's kind of like fog on a road. And your focus, your mindfulness, is really like the headlights that's going to cut through that fog and allow you to drive without getting into a car wreck. Point number 2 that I want to make is that knowledge and the execution of that knowledge is a great way to banish doubt. It's when you have the execution down pat, you get the experience that you need in order to tell you that you can succeed at this task. That's what I love by challenging myself and having my clients challenge themselves as well. Is because I know that if they do something hard, they will then develop the belief that they can do hard things. And when you have the belief that you can do hard things, you're able to go from point A to point B quicker than people that are in your same field. And that's assuming you're doing something where there's a lot of competition. But even if there isn't competition, we're competing against ourselves. We're competing against the old versions of who we were. And by being able to see that you can do hard things, it institutes a belief within you that you can now use for the rest of your life. That's the power of these things called beliefs, skill sets, and personal development. And I also love telling people this: doing and knowing are in 2 different stratospheres. Some people think because they know how to change a tire, they can change a tire. Or people think because they know how to run a business, or let's say do a Facebook ad, or whatever the case it may be, it doesn't mean that you know how to do it. It doesn't mean that you can do it with a sense of success and confidence that maybe someone else who has done it really can. So at this point, I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to make it quick. I want you to make it a habit to follow this pattern where you learn and apply. Learn and apply. You can learn a little and then apply a little and then go back and learn a little again and then apply again. All right? It's kind of like wax on, wax off, if you know from that movie, The Karate Kid, if you will. That's the type of mindset I really want you to have with, honestly, anything that you're working on. And what you'll see over the course of time is that you have a mountain of proof that will show you that you are capable. You can do the thing, as I mentioned in step 1. And then my third point, something that has really helped me out, is using my doubts as a guiding light to my future self. I use my doubts as stepping stones to show me where I should be, or rather to help me to get to where I need to be. You know, it's funny. I like to see entrepreneurship as kind of like a sport. For me, I love basketball. So I'm imagining that my speaking skills, which is something that I'm working on with this podcast, it equates to something like a guy working on his free throws, right? It's a small thing, but when you look at the totality of an athlete, it is very important, because if they're not good at free throws, guess what they're going to do? They're going to foul. They're going to do the hack-a-shack. If you know basketball, you know what that is. So what I'm looking at is, what is it that I'm not doing well? What is it that I struggle with? And how can I improve in those areas? Something that's even great is to find the people that can help me in improving in those areas. A few podcast episodes ago, I talked about the 3 levels of skill acquisition. And the second level is doing it with someone. In other words, finding a coach. And that's something that's going to help you when it comes to overcome your doubt in this step 3 point that I'm making here, right? When you find all the things that's giving you trouble, make it a game. Ask yourself, what would life be like if this doubt that I had was no longer here? What would life be like if I was able to honestly master this skill? Okay, I'll give you a great idea. So let's say you're in business, right? Something that obviously I'm very passionate about. And let's say you didn't know anything about Facebook ads. And let's say you say, you know what? I'm going to take the next 1.5 to 2 years to truly learn Facebook ads, whether it's by hiring a coach, reading books, going to conferences, right? Paying for courses, all those things. In those 2 years, you will learn a skill that will help you for the rest of your life, because learning how to do something like Facebook ads is evergreen. It's a skill that you can apply to Google ads, to YouTube ads, whatever ad place that you want to do. And I'm willing to bet that that's going to be the same thing with the skill that you're looking to develop. That's why I said your doubts, they're kind of like your guiding light. If you use them to show you what you should be doing instead of what you shouldn't be doing, it'll help you to fast track your way to success. All right. So to summarize these 3 main points, 3 things that can help you to overcome your self-doubt is that knowing that doubt is actually okay so long as you know what the thing is. Ask yourself, when this doubt is present, can I reflect back on what it is that I should be doing? The second point is to make sure that you have the knowledge, but then make sure that you're executing on that knowledge to help you to gradually overcome that doubt. So this is where I said, make sure you adopt the pattern of learn and apply, learn and apply. And you can go about it with learn a little, apply a little, learn a little, apply a little. I can even say learn a little and then apply a lot. So when you learn that new skill, apply it multiple times to make sure that you got it. Now, we don't want to procrastinate, all right? So make sure that you're learning the next thing and that you're applying the next thing as well. And then the third point, make sure that you look at your doubt as your guiding light to your future self. Use these as things to show you what you should be doing instead of what you shouldn't be doing. So those are the 3 points that I've made, that I've experienced within myself in order to become a better therapist and to overcome some of my doubts in the field. So what I want you to do is take notes. Make sure that you ask questions in the podcast by just simply commenting below. Anything that you can do to help me to get to know more about how I can help you, I would love to hear that. And with that being said, take care, be safe. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll see you guys later.